Okay, this is Vera again. This is Google Forms and Sheets for the amateur, and these are some more tips and tricks. In this video in particular, I'm going to focus on using data validation to ensure consistent answers in a spreadsheet in which several people are collaborating together on. Okay, I'm back in my spreadsheet again, and as you can see, I have a couple of columns over here that are empty, and I'm going to use those for demonstrating the data validation. Now again, if you are collecting information from students, I always recommend doing that in the form of a Google form so that they don't actually ever access your spreadsheet. But sometimes it may be necessary to collaborate with others on a spreadsheet, maybe with fellow teachers, or maybe even sometimes you might want your kids to actually be able to access a spreadsheet. But if you do, you want to keep things consistent so that your sorting will work correctly if you decide you want to sort these a different way. And so data validation is a way to do that. And I'm going to show you in this column, for example, an email address. If you wanted to collect an email address, you can do this through the form as well. I demonstrated data validation in the form as well to make sure it's a correct email address. But if you want them entered right into the spreadsheet, you can still validate that data and make sure it's correct. So to do that, you want to highlight, actually you just want to highlight the actual cells that you want to apply the validation to. And if you have a set number of students, then of course you can stop there, but wherever you stop, your validation will stop. So if I know that I'm going to have 50 students, for example, I want to make sure I continue that all the way down to the 50, or you can just keep continuing on as far as you can drag, and it won't hurt anything if you don't fill them all up. But anyways, I've highlighted the cells that I want to apply the validation to. I'm going to go up here to data, and the last one is validations. I'm going to click validation, and you have several choices. First of all, the cell range that you've highlighted will be indicated here. You want to make sure that's correct, and you can change it if not. And then you have several criteria choices. List from a range. You would have like maybe a range of numbers, and they could choose one of those. You could have a list of items where you have a set number of choices and they have to choose one of them. You could have a number or text or a date, and in this case we're going to use text. And then within text there's several choices also. There's contains, does not contain, equals, is valid email, or is valid URL. And of course these two would be used to ensure a valid email or URL. And I'm going to do email this time. And then you have a couple choices. Do you want to just show a warning if it's not correct, or do you want to reject the input? And so I'm going to choose reject input, and then I'm going to click show help, and here's my help text: enter a valid email. Okay, and so if someone tries to put in an email that's not valid or anything besides an email, they're going to get that. So we're going to test that theory. Okay, click save. Okay, and I'm going to go into this cell, and notice immediately that comes up because that was not a valid email. And now I'm going to go ahead and go to the next column, and notice it erases it. It won't accept it because it's not valid. And then if I put it in and it is a valid email, then it will accept it. Okay, I go to the next column because it's empty, it's not valid. But that one is correct, so it has accepted it. Okay, the next one I'm going to demonstrate here under dormitory. I'm going to pretend that I have a set list of dormitories that they can pick from, and I want to make sure they're spelled correctly and whatever. And again, I want to go as far as I know that I need. If I know I'm going to have 50 respondents, then I'll drag it on down there. I'm going to go up here to data validation, and this time I'm going to use list of items, and this allows you to put your items in here and separate them by a comma. So I'm going to pretend I have one dorm called Hunter Hall and one dorm called Fisher Hall, and that's it. And this time again I'm going to reject input. If they put something incorrect, I'm not going to accept it, and I am going to display an end cell button to show the list. And what that'll do is put a little drop down button in each one of those, and they can choose from. And then for my help, I'm going to put choose from the list. Okay, and I'm going to click save, and then see how the buttons all appeared. Now I'm going to go ahead and click that arrow, and it's going to give me my two choices, and so they can just pick from the list. And if they try to type it in and it doesn't match exactly, then it's going to either correct it or it will give them a rejection notice. Okay, another useful form of data validation is if you want them to enter a value that is somewhere else on the spreadsheet, choose from some other cells. And so to demonstrate that, I'm going to show you here in column J, I've added the terms lab partner. And let's pretend like this is a group, a class group, and each one of them has a partner who's among these students listed here in column A. And so I want them to be able to choose between them, but I want to, again, ensure consistency, so I'm going to have them click from a list instead. And so rather than type all those names again, I can select them and have a drop-down box like this, but it will have all of the names in column A. So to show you that, I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to select all of my cells that I want to apply the validation to again, and then I'm going to go to Data and Validation again. And this time I'm going to choose the list from a range, and this is the cell range that the validation is in. This is the cell range that I'm going to choose from. And you have to first of all start with your sheet name, and as you can see down here, this sheet name is class data, so you have to spell it exactly correct, capitalize, etc. And then you use an exclamation point, okay? And then you put your range of cells. So I want A2, and then you use a colon, and A31 is the last cell that I have any data in right there. And then again, I'm going to reject input. I want to display an in cell button to show the list, and then from the cell for the show help, I'm going to put choose your lab partner. Okay, and now I'm going to click save, and then I will demonstrate for you. I'll show you how that works. Okay, so this is Edward, and if he needs to choose his lab partner, he clicks that downward arrow, and maybe his partner is Dorothy. And then this one, maybe Ellen's partner is Edward, and so forth. And so again, it's a very useful way of making sure they're putting the information in that you want them to include. And other forms of data validation that I didn't really demonstrate are the numbers and the dates, and you can have consistency there as well. With numbers, again, here are your choices: equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, between, not between, and so forth. If you want to have dates, you can just choose any valid date: equal to, before a date, on or after, not between, between. Lots of choices in how you want that data validated, and we've looked at all the rest of them. So I hope you'll find this data validation useful. It's great when you are collaborating on a spreadsheet. And in my next tutorial, I'll give you just a couple more tips about spreadsheets, including how to merge cells into one big cell, and we'll talk about how to insert some images into cells if you ever need to do that. Thanks.